Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya, and today I'm going to do a reaction video for you. This video was suggested to me in my Discord by one of my Discord members, and this one is called Why You Should Move to Australia in 2025. And this channel is Ellie Majelli, which I have reacted to before. So I'm excited to get into this and see what she has to say about like why people should move there. I don't know what all she's going to talk about in the video, but I'm interested to see what she's going to say. Before we start, I wanted to say really quickly, I've been posting like, you know how people do Vlogmas, and like I'm a vlogger, so I used to do Vlogmas. I decided this year I'm going to do these little Vlogmas minis, and I have not seen anyone do this. I don't think this is like a trend or anything. I just thought, I sometimes just get out my camera and I film different things that are interesting or funny to me, or my pets, or moments in my life, or whatever. And I don't really like doing shorts, really. So I thought it'd be fun to do these little mini videos, like 3, 4, 5 minutes long. And I posted one yesterday of the pets. It's 3 minutes if you want to watch it. I have one all ready to go for tomorrow that I hope you guys will appreciate. It's a really fun one. But anyway, I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to be posting these little miniature Vlogmas things, and I hope you watch them and enjoy them. Real quick, if you're interested also in joining the Discord, it's completely free and it's linked below. But let's get into this video. Here we go.
When you think of Australia, you might think of the red desert, a bunch of spiders and poisonous snakes, or maybe even someone doing a shoey. However, Australia is so much more than just that. It has so many positives and so many amazing places for a reason on why you should call it home. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did a video on why you should not move to Australia. It was quite negative when it came out, so this week I thought we would do a positive spin and discuss the reasons that you should move to Australia. Now, addressing the elephant in the room before we start with it.
If you saw the other video of hers, because I did not, tell me in the comments what you thought of it. I have no idea what she said, but she said it was kind of negative, so I haven't seen it. I'm just curious. Honestly, I need to say this in every video probably, but every country has pros and cons, and I take everything with a grain of salt that people say in these videos, just because these are these person's opinions and their perspective, and I would have my own opinions and my own perspective if I were there on my own. So just remember that I'm taking it all with a grain of salt. I'm just watching, entertaining myself and learning stuff, you know what I mean?
Video would be my American accent. I know it probably sounds like I don't have the right to be speaking about why Australia is so great. However, I was born in Australia and moved over to America when I was 8 years old.
Didn't know
so
that.
I have a solid idea of what it was like as a kid growing up in the school system and the environment that played in. But I'm also seeing it now as an adult from an outside point of view. The rest of the video will be more from my perspective and what it was like moving from the US to Australia. So they might not be completely accurate. It is from my own experience and how I view Australia as an American moving over, but then also as someone who grew up in the culture and just kind of has a different view than your typical Australian who has lived here for their whole life. All right, let's jump into the points. Honestly,
I think that's fair. You know, we all have our own experiences.
Putting together a list when I was on the train going to work, and the list is so long. I actually might need to make 2 parts for this because it is that long. Firstly, I'd love to talk about the Australian culture. Now, it is quite similar culture if you're in another English-speaking country, like London, Canada, the US, New Zealand. All of these places just have similar culture.
I don't know if you saw that, but she wrote, I realize that London is a city, not a country.
To Australia in the way that, you know, they have holidays like Christmas and they have similar values. So I find if you're moving from another English speaking country, it's quite easy to move to Australia because everything is just quite similar. You don't have to change a lot of your views. You don't have to change a lot of your behaviors. So if you're moving from a place like London or the US, it is super similar. So you don't have to worry about a huge culture shock coming into it. Another big reason you can move to Australia is the public transport is so much better, especially coming from the US where public transport is not really a thing, and if it is a thing,
sorry, I paused it right in the middle of her sentence. I've heard that the public transport in Australia and in the UK and like, you know, Japan and all these places have really, really great public transport, and America doesn't have that great. We have public transport, but it's just not as good as, you know, other countries. I would say, personally, not really personally, but in my home state of Illinois, Chicago has an excellent public transport system. But I live like a few hours south of Chicago, and our public transport here is a city bus or like taxis or Ubers. I live in a smaller, you know, city.
It's terrible and expensive. Australia, I feel like, has a good mix of strong public transport where I can...
Sorry, I meant I live in a, it's a large city by size, but it's a small city by population. And so everything is very far apart. So you have to have a car or some sort of transportation to get places, is what I'm saying. Unless you live like uptown in like the college area, everything is pretty walking distance there. But everywhere else, it's like really spread out. Sorry, I'm gonna rewind this because I didn't hear what she said.
Is so much better, especially coming from the US where public transport is not really a thing, and if it is a thing, it's terrible and expensive. Australia, I feel like, has a good mix of strong public transport where I can rely on it and I know it's going to get me there, but at the same time being cost effective. So for example, on Metro in Melbourne, if you travel all day long going on any of the buses you want, any of the trains you want, it actually has a max capacity for the price that you pay, which is about $9. That seems pretty good for me. If I was in America and I had to take Ubers everywhere, it would probably cost me like $100 by the end of the day. So yeah. I love the public transport here. It is honestly a breeze. A lot of people I know don't even own a car. I don't even own a car, and it's the best experience ever, just not having to...
I can't imagine not owning a car, just because here, you know, where we live, you have to have a car to get around, you know, otherwise you can't get around unless, like she said, you pay hundreds of dollars in Ubers or taxis, or you somehow find a bus stop to walk to get a city bus or something. So you kind of have to have a car here. However, speaking of public transport, someone in my Discord, it was like a few weeks ago, I think, was showing me different like photos of the brand new like train station that they just put in. Was it Sydney? I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't remember what city it was. I thought it was Sydney, but I could be wrong. Could be Melbourne. Either way, but there was a brand new train station put in, and he showed me pictures of it. My God, it is fancy. It's really nice.
Think about it, think about the costs, you know, think about registration, any of that stuff. And then at the same time, I can still use Ubers if I need to too. I think it's funny because I come from the US and everything is really about freedom. I have my liberties, I have my free choice, but I honestly feel more free in Australia, which is a bit interesting. The fact that I don't have to own a car and I can just go on public transport and I don't have to pay an arm and a leg for that transport, it makes me feel more free in a weird way. Okay. If you're moving from another country, specifically from the US as well, the dollar does go a lot farther.
I just want to say one thing about that. Aside from like, oh, this is a free country and all the crazy shit people say, I feel more free having a car. You know what I mean? That way I'm independent and I can just take myself wherever I want to go, sort of thing. So it's all about perspective. She feels very free being able to walk to public transport and go where she wants to go. And on the flip side, I feel very free and independent having my own car to take myself places. You know, it's just a difference. It's not one's better than the other, in my opinion.
Australia.
Also, I'm sorry, I keep stopping. This is horrible. But I get comments sometimes where people come in and they've never seen my videos before, and the first thing they see is something where I'm talking a lot about American versus Australia or American versus New Zealand or something. And they're like, oh, you're so defensive about your country. I don't feel like when I'm explaining things in these videos, the differences like between my country and your country and whatever I'm learning in the video, I don't feel like I'm being defensive about my country and that we're better or anything like that. I'm purely just responding to what they're saying in the video and then giving my perspective as an American in my own country, sort of thing, and explaining if somebody gets something maybe incorrect, or if somebody is from, like the last video did, like the guy was from Southern California, and Southern California is just a completely different world from where I live. You know, I live in the Midwest, so his experiences and feelings and opinions are going to be completely different than mine, you know, because it's a little bit different cultures living in Southern California and living in the Midwest, because America is not one culture, it's many cultures, you know what I mean? So everyone's experiences are different depending on where you live and that sort of thing. So I just want to say that for the people who think I'm like being really defensive, I'm really not trying to be like defensive about America. I'm just trying to explain like as if I'm having a conversation with this girl at the same time and we're talking about the same thing but two different countries. Like, she's teaching me something, but I feel like at the same time I'm educating all of you on my views of all of this in my country and whatever. I hope that makes sense. I don't even know if any of that made sense. I'm sorry. Yes, I do like to ramble.
Yeah, so it's great if you have a ton of savings and you're looking to move to Australia, that it will go farther. So for example, if you're from the US, or maybe you're from somewhere in Europe that uses the euro, if you're coming across to Australia, that dollar amount transfers really well over to Australia. You'll come across and you'll feel a lot richer. I remember moving over from America and having, you know, my set amount in my bank account, transferring it all to Australian dollars and being like, whoa, oh my gosh, I'm a millionaire. Not really, I did not have that much money. I was a broke, straight out of college student coming across. It is really nice having that extra cushion moving over. I know when my parents moved from Australia to the US, it was the reverse effect. That was horrible. Think about moving with 3 children and a whole family. It gets expensive. The reverse isn't the best, but moving to Australia, it works quite well. In terms of immigration laws as well, I know Australia is a bit easier to immigrate to rather than other countries. For example, in Australia, which I think is a really cool part of their immigration, is that they have a partner visa that you can apply for. If you're dating or married to someone that is Australian, you can sign up for a partner visa. You can do a lot of the similar things that you have as an Australian citizen. So for example, you get full working rights with a partner visa, which I think is amazing.
Wow.
Because of that, all you have to do is come here on holiday, meet someone really cute in Australia, and sign up for a partner visa. It can happen. The coffee here is undeniable, specifically in Melbourne. You know that wherever you're gonna go, it's gonna be a good coffee. It's just top tier. I think if you've watched a couple Australian videos, you know how amazing the coffee is here. And if you've been to Australia, you definitely know how good the coffee is. I feel like if you go to any other country after and have their coffee, it just doesn't get to the standard of Australian coffee. I don't know what it specifically.
I know that everyone talks about the coffee in Australia and stuff. Personally, I'm not a coffee girl. I drink it very, very occasionally. I'm a Diet Coke girl.
But there are so many coffee snobs in Australia, but I'm grateful for it because the coffee tastes amazing. From a culture perspective as well, I find that there's a lot more support with the different cultures that other people bring into Australia. For example, we just had Diwali and it was really cool because I work next to a bank. So when I was walking around, I saw that they had like this whole Diwali celebration up. So they had all these dancers and they were doing like a whole dance in front of a whole crowd within the bank. And it was absolutely so cool that they celebrate all kinds of cultures as well. Not just the Diwali holiday, they celebrate other holidays as well. But I feel like the culture is just celebrated so much more in Australia because it's such a multicultural space. Within that culture from the corporate space.
I love that. I think that is so cool about Australia and even New Zealand. Like you guys have, well, I know New Zealand has like the Maori tribe and do you call it a tribe? Did I get that wrong? Sorry if I did. But and they're just like so amazing over there. I've seen videos of like their dances and like their celebrations. Like people have showed me in Discord and stuff. It's so amazing. Like I would love to go there and see one of those. And Australia, about the like there's a lot of like Asian influence I've heard and stuff, which I think is amazing. I cannot remember where she said she is from, but I know that here in the States, we do have a lot of multicultural areas. I think that they're in pockets. They're not like, I mean, it is everywhere, but like here in my city, we have a lot of multicultural areas. So like part of my city, you see like a lot of Indian culture and their churches and things like that. We have a lot of Hispanic cultures. We have a lot of Mexican grocery stores and that sort of thing. Like in this area. And we have Irish pubs here, actual Irish pubs. But I can't speak for all cities or all states in the country. I just know that in my area, we do have like things like that too.
As well, I find that Australia has a lot better work-life balance. One really cool thing that Australia does as well is called long service leave. So that means if you stay with one company for a set amount of time, normally it's in between 7 to 10 years at a company, then they give you 3 months of paid leave, which I think is...
Stop it. Are you serious? Did she say every company or just some companies? That's ridiculously insane. Like, I can't even imagine that happening to us. We don't get stuff like that. That's freaking amazing. That's amazing.
Crazy, especially coming from America where it's standard that you get 2 weeks off for a whole year. Mm-hmm. I think it's such an amazing thing. Some of my aunts and
it depends on the company, first of all, but the longer you're there, sometimes they add a week of vacation, so then you get 3 weeks, but then you also get like 5 sick days on top of that, and then like personal days. So like when you add it all together, it is more than 2 weeks, but they just kind of categorize it for some reason. But my husband just kind of uses all of those days as whatever he wants days. You know what I mean?
Uncles have recently done their long service leave and they travel all around Australia and go on an amazing holiday. It's really cool too because you can take 6 months off and do half pay for that time as well. So I feel like there's just so much more emphasis on taking time off, taking a holiday. You're not seen as any less for taking a holiday or taking a break. It's actually encouraged by a lot of companies.
That is actually a very, very huge difference between Australia and America, and I think that Australia wins this one 100%. I wish America was more like that. I wish that they would allow people to, live their lives as well. I'm not one of those kind of people who's like, go, work. Just because I'm not like super career oriented in the sense that that's all I care about and that's all I want to do. I care more about family and spending family time with everybody. But yeah, I do wish that companies in America would follow suit and do what Australia does with that, because people need time off. People need those breaks because you're working 40 hours or more a week and you're exhausted and you're tired and you need a break. You need refresh, you know what I mean? And I think that if America would do that more, I think that people would be less stressed and more happy. So I applaud Australia for doing that. I think that's so amazing.
As well. One great thing about living in the Southern Hemisphere just in general is that the summer break and the holidays are all around December, January, February, which
it's so weird
I think
to
is
me.
One of the best things ever. It gets chaotic as hell when you're around this time of year because there's just so many events going on, so many parties, end of financial year is coming around too, so it's just like hectic crazy, but it's the most fun ever. It's sunny, it's warm, there's just more daylight and more stuff to do, especially Melbourne being the city of events as well. We have the Australian Open that comes around.
Whoa,
they decorate the whole city
cool.
with all these different Christmas decorations and they do fireworks. The opposite kind of sucks though, having the winter during June, July, and August, especially in the northern parts of Australia as well. It still stays hot around those times. So if you're moving to somewhere like Darwin, for example, or even up in the Gold Coast or near Brisbane, you're still gonna have really nice weather even during those months. So you can always escape the cold and go farther up north for a holiday, which I think is really good. Adding to the work-life balance and specifically everything with the summer holidays too, is that Australians are very social. There is a large drinking culture, but there is just a large going out culture as well in terms of going out for brunches, going out for coffees. They're just very big on going out and being part of your community, which I really love about being here. Also,
I love that. I think that's amazing. And I've said this to people in my Discord before, and they started to kind of notice the same thing, that Australia and Australians in general seem to be very, very similar to Midwestern people. Me being from the Midwest, I can see the differences and I can tell right away if somebody is a Midwesterner. We just kind of, I don't know how to explain it other than it's like Australians. We are very much this way, like she's explaining. And so I can't tell you what like anywhere west of me does or anywhere east of me does or south of me does, but Midwestern people are so similar to Australians. Like, we have such a blast in my Discord. It's crazy.
If you made it this far in the video and you have not subscribed, this is your reminder to subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and it helps support me to make more videos like this. One thing I think that also adds to kind of the community side of Australia is that a lot of corporations, a lot of businesses are very in support of big mental health days and just kind of care for their community. So for example, there is this nationwide thing called Are You Okay Day. So it's all about checking in with people around you and just making sure that they're okay. Since I'm recording this in November, they also do a big push for Movember. So all of the public transport has little mustaches. And I just find overall that people donate a lot more to communities. They volunteer a lot more. I feel like there's just further emphasis on supporting your community in Australia. I found it was still prevalent in the US, but even just 2 years here now as an adult, and I'm seeing so much more support for community than I did see over in America.
I think first of all, Australians are amazing. You guys are amazing people. I love you guys. I love the way you are. I love the way I love the way your country is. I love all of this that she's saying. I think it's so great. And she's right. We do have community stuff here. But I've said this before, you may not find it in every city. But there are areas in the States that are very, very community driven. And I live in a city that's pretty community driven, I would say. There's a lot of events and things that they put on here. But I can't speak for anywhere else.
This is a big one in comparison to the US as well. Having insurance is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. If you're an Australian citizen, you get access to Medicare, which is amazing. That means that you can go to any appointment and it just kind of costs this smaller amount. You're not going to pay thousands of dollars just for an appointment. It's going to be around like $50 to $100 depending on where you go. And it's really nice as well because it's not connected to your job. If you go to the visit and you pay like $50 or $100, like she said, is that considered a copay, or like, is that just your bill and then it's done? I'm just curious because here in the States, doctors will have like a copay where you may or may not, if you want to, pay it right there. And it's like $25 or depending on your insurance. Or they can just bill that to you. But then besides billing you the copay, they're also going to bill you the regular bill too. So I'm just curious, is there another bill that comes after that, or is that all you pay? Because I wish it was like that here. I'm unemployed. You don't have to worry about scrambling for insurance. But if you are living in Australia, I would recommend signing up for the Ambulance Victoria membership. So that means that anytime that an ambulance gets called for yourself, you just pay a flat rate for it. It can get a little bit expensive, especially if you need to get airlifted. Hopefully that doesn't have to happen to anyone, but you pay yearly and it just covers you in terms of any ambulances that you need to use. So
$40 a year, that's it. My God, I've ridden in an ambulance before and that bill I think was like $800 just for me to drive in an ambulance from my house to the hospital, which is maybe 10 minutes. It's insane.
If you're living in Australia, check out Ambulance Victoria. Overall, Australia is so much better in terms of crime rates. I know that's generally because there are just way less people in the country, which kind of helps with crime rates. But overall, it's a lot safer of a country, especially living in the US with all the gun issues and all of the crimes over there. I find Australia is so much more safer. And when I walk around at night, I'm not scared for my safety the same way that I was in America, especially because I was living near San Francisco. Walking around there at night scared the hell out of me.
I've been to San Francisco, and it's a busy, busy city. So yeah, I can understand that. But also I highly recommend visiting San Francisco and that whole like area. Oh my God, it's amazing there. I loved it. I loved it. And I said this in the last video, it depends on where you are in the States, like the crime rates and everything. So like, I don't feel unsafe in my city, but yeah, I don't feel like fear going outside of my city, you know, at least. Other cities in the US, maybe I would, but here I don't.
Walking around in Melbourne, I feel so much safer. For example, they have police at every train station after a certain hour. I just find people look out for each other a bit more, which I appreciate. Okay, I'm looking through this list and there is still so much more to go, but I've already been recording for so long, so I think I'm gonna have to make a part 2 for this. Definitely leave a comment below if you feel like there's something I missed today that you want to see in the next video. So I have a couple of vlogs of my life here in Melbourne. However, I just went to Brisbane this past weekend and made a vlog for that. So vlog will be coming very shortly. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much for making it this far in the video. Much love, and I will see you in the next video.
That was a really good video, and I feel like some of these things are repeats of what I hear in other videos. However, I like the fact that even if somebody is even if someone's talking about the same topic in their video, everyone has their own opinions on them and their own experiences with these things. So I'm definitely learning different things from different people, even if they're talking about kind of like the same subject matter or whatever. So I really appreciate that, and I really like learning all of this stuff. But you guys live in an amazing country, and I feel like I also live in an amazing country too. Don't get me wrong. I am proud to be from my country, and I think that everybody in the world should be proud of where they come from. Personally, that's my opinion. But I applaud Australia for all the things that they are doing right and doing great for the people there. And I wish that America would, follow suit and kind of learn what you guys are doing so that maybe we could do it too. Especially with like the healthcare system and stuff. It's horrible. But anyway, this video is getting longer than I intended it for it to be. Tomorrow's falling asleep on my hand. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and I'll see you next time.